Okay, so the project for this evening is to try and photograph the moon. It's supposed to be the super moon this evening, and it's going to be out there somewhere. Okay, so we've had the 8 o'clock clapping and cheering from the balconies, which happens at 8 o'clock every night during this lockdown period, here in this part of Spain at least. And we've also had a bit of a drive-by with some police cars and other bits and pieces, which they sometimes do drive around. It's like a solidarity thing. It's actually quite nice. This evening I'm trying to get a photograph of the moon. It's supposed to be a super moon. I think it's called the pink moon, although it's not actually supposed to be pink. Now the moon is up. It's 11 minutes past 8. The moon is up and I can see it, but it's lost in haze at the moment. But I'm hoping that when it gets a bit higher, it'll come out of that haze and we'll get a nice clear view of it. Now, normally for photographing the moon, what it's ideal to do is have something else in the frame as well. That's just not going to be possible here. The moon is out over the sea. There's nothing else that I can include in the frame unless it happens to get up and kind of fringe with a little bit of tiny cloud that's up there at the moment. It's just going to be the moon in isolation. But hopefully that'll still make a nice image, but because it's just going to be the moon, it's going to be critical that I get it absolutely sharp and I don't lose any detail. So getting the exposure right, so I'm not blowing out any highlights or losing any shadows, and getting the focus right is going to be absolutely necessary. And at the moment you can barely see the moon through the haze, so you can't even really see if you're getting it in focus anyway. But as I say, hopefully when it climbs a bit higher we'll get something. I've got my 150 to 600 lens on at 600mm, and even so the moon is only taking up a small part of the screen, but you know, it's a 36.1 megapixel sensor, so I can crop this down a lot and still end up with quite a big image. So I'm just going to keep an eye on what the moon's doing. I can pop in and out of the home as I need to because I'm only on the balcony, and take some shots when I think it's going to be the best time. Okay, so as the moon's getting higher, it's coming out of the haze and it's getting a little bit sharper. I'm using manual focus to try and focus on the moon, and what I'm doing is composing the shot with the moon kind of down the left hand side at the bottom of the frame, or down in the left hand third, and then I can leave my composition locked in as the moon kind of tracks up and to the right until it gets too far up, and then I recompose. It's supposed to keep moving it around too much. Okay, I've got a few shots that look as if they're reasonably sharp. So as I said, I'm shooting with the 150 to 600 lens at 600mm, f8, focusing on the moon, and I'm not worrying too much about exposing to the right. All I'm making sure is I've got no blown highlights and no blown shadows. At the moment the moon has got a little bit of a kind of a pinkish glow to it, even though this pink moon isn't supposed to be pink. But that's because it's been in this sort of layer of haze which was still picking up some post-sunset tones. As it gets higher it's going to get whiter. I think I'm going to just take another couple of shots as it gets a little bit higher, then I'm going to pause for a little while, and I'm going to leave everything set up and come back out again in a little while, because the moon will hopefully go up into some little cloud layers there, and if I could get it either just going into or just coming out of a cloud layer, that might make for an interesting image. We'll see. Okay, so I've been waiting for the moon to get higher, hoping that I was going to catch it just as it was about to go into some cloud that's up there. The problem is, what's happened is the cloud has actually come down a little bit, and now I've got these cables that run across the scene right across the moon. So I'm hoping that the moon will just clear that before it goes into the cloud, and then I can have maybe the moon with a little bit of illuminating the clouds and maybe creating a bit of extra interest. I don't know, it may not work, and I may only have the one image of the moon, you know, in isolation, but it's worth giving it a go. Okay, we might have something here. The cloud wasn't quite as solid as I thought. It's creating quite a nice kind of texture around it. Might work. And now the moon's just disappearing into another cloud. I don't like it obscuring the top of the moon the way it is. I think it would be okay if the cloud was at the bottom and the moon was sticking out, but the other way around I don't like it. There's just another possibility in maybe another 5 minutes or so that the moon might come out through the top of that cloud, and that might give us one more opportunity. And the moon's coming out of the top of the cloud now. If there's enough of a gap there, this might work. I want to see most of the moon and just have a little bit maybe at the bottom, maybe just off to one side, obscured by cloud, and ideally some of the cloud thin enough that you can see through. It looks like we might get that. Okay, the moon has now gone behind the clouds completely, and the rest of the sky there is pretty much just dark clouds, so I think that's it all over. I've got no idea whether I managed to get anything any good. I think at least one of the shots of the moon, you know, as a complete circle with all the detail on, looks like it's okay. 2 or 3 of them might be okay. Whether I managed to do any of the ones with the clouds sort of around the moon, I honestly don't know. Anyway, you've probably already have seen the images that I've taken, and hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, and you're not already a subscriber, please consider hitting subscribe, and if you're already a subscriber, thank you very much, I appreciate that. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider hitting that thumbs up, give it a like, share it on social media, and of course leave me a comment. This has been one of my From a Balcony videos during the lockdown, so while all this is going on in the world, I hope you're keeping healthy and keeping safe. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos, so thank you very much, and until the next one, bye.